Alright, so you guys voted, so you want to talk 4K. Now, a short story about my dive into 4K. It was really a lot like Blu-ray. You remember when Blu-ray kind of came out and the average person doesn't just jump. You think about it and you say, well, I've accumulated this collection of DVDs. Why do I need to upgrade? And then you eventually get a player because you either get it on sale or what have you. Then streaming started becoming a thing. And so these streaming players were also Blu-ray players. And so you were like, well, let's get into this. And then you realize, hey, you really like Blu-ray. Well, history kind of repeated itself, and it really wasn't much different for me. I thought to myself, do I really need to upgrade to a new format? You know, this is not the first time it's happened. Am I just a sucker for consumerism, so to speak, and I'm falling into all these trappings? Which is probably the truth, let's be honest. It was the same thing. I kind of waited some time to get a 4K player. And then I finally found one on sale at Target right around this time of year, Black Friday, so to speak, and got a good deal on one. I ended up getting one that has the streaming as well because I think it actually makes the streaming services look better too. I mean, considering it's a 4K TV, 4K player, and the high-speed HDMI cord, it should. 4K was a format that I got into almost reluctantly. When I got the player, I was just like, let's just see what this is all about. You know, I'll have this. I got a good deal on the player. Let's get into it. I've had really great experiences with this format and some abysmal experiences. Now I'll go ahead and get the abysmal experiences out the way. Getting some movies that basically came out recently, in the last couple years. Movies like Zombieland Doubletap, which you're probably saying, Christian, why did you pick up the 4K of that? Well, when I got the player, I was like, let's go all in. Let's go all into this format and start supporting it because I love physical media and I'm going to keep it alive as long as I can possibly try to. It's going to need your help as well, but I do my part. I love physical media. And when I got that movie, I was like, God, this looks no different from the Blu-ray. I mean, I even tested it and did screenshots to show. And it was no different. And it really broke my heart. I thought, here's another cash grab, you know, format deal. And then I realized from talking to friends about this, doing research, going on YouTube and watching videos, there are some movies that when done properly, meaning these companies that do the new transfers and this and that, will blow you away. And so I have some of my horror 4Ks in here, not everything, but I have my horror 4Ks in here that I want to show you that I can say nothing but positive and really positive things about. Then we'll wrap up my experience with 4K. Pet Sematary. This is how you do a 4K, a brand new transfer. This movie has such the most amazing picture quality that I was blown away. I actually watched this a couple days for this video because I bought this well before I had a 4K player because I saw that it did come with a new transfer and a Blu-ray. So I was like, well, let me get a new Pet Sematary. That way it's got a new transfer on it. It should look better. And I remember watching the Blu-ray and saying, wow, this looks really good. Then I put the 4K on the other day because I forgot I had this and I was blown away. The thickness in the image, you know, from what I understand, and I'm not going to be able to get technical. I'm not that kind of, but what I can say from my eye is when you watch a movie like Pet Sematary, which was done on beautiful film, real beautiful film, that's when I've seen the real changes. That's when I've seen the real just value in this format, which is weird. But, you know, it seems like film is such this dense image. It's such this rich, full image that a lot of digital stuff that I've seen shot just, it looks paper thin. Everybody looks like they've got no mass to them. But when you watch something like this, it was mind-blowing how beautiful it was. Real raw natural colors to it. Very gorgeous and just full. It almost looks 3D is the way I can explain it. When you look into the TV, you almost can feel the depth in a room where the actors are. It's truly remarkable. So this is where I think 4K really shines. Here's probably the highest rated 4K movie that's been released. The Shining is another example of a movie that absolutely blew me away. It was so gorgeous. I couldn't believe how good this looked. I thought, how much better could you make The Shining look? If you really want to feel that atmosphere in that hotel, if you really want to feel the anger from Jack Nicholson, see his singular strands of hair that go this way when his little island of hair right here goes that way. It's so perfectly crystal clear. It's amazing. Again, a movie done on beautiful 32mm film. I think this is where this format can really shine. No pun intended. After I had gotten those, that's when I had gotten the Zombieland Doubletap movie, and it really broke my heart. And then, a little while later, I decided, let me pick up this movie, and it completely rejuvenated my love for this format. Beetlejuice is one of my favorite 4Ks that I own. This one just was amazing, because again, beautiful film, dense, full image, with all these amazing colors in the film. It really, really blew me away. And it really just showed me 4K is not a gimmick. The problem is, I think sometimes when these movies come out, they just slap a 4K sticker on the movie and you just don't see much difference from the Blu-ray. And that's a shame on some of these people putting these movies out. Because if you want us to support it, you have to make it worth our time and make it worth our money. Because if you keep slapping just 4K stickers on movies and not doing anything really different or improving the quality as much as you can, we'll stop supporting it. Because believe me, there's enough people on the internet now that if you screw something up, they're going to call you out. And this was one that got praised across the board, so I couldn't wait to get Beetlejuice, and it did look amazing. Another movie that really, really blew me away. Now, this is actually a movie I never owned. So while I was nervous to get into 4K, things just kind of work themselves out. And you start to find movies that get released on 4K that maybe you hadn't seen before, didn't know about. I had never seen Starship Troopers, and I got it on 4K. It's the only format I own this movie on. And what a way to be introduced to Starship Troopers. This is a favorite of mine. It's the wallpaper on my computer now. I loved it. Again, this is a 90s film, and it has that rich, full thickness to its image with CGI stuff in it. And guess what? It still looks absolutely amazing. This is another example of, putting hard work and effort into a new transfer and release of this movie, and it paid off. I'll keep this short and sweet. When it comes to these new transfers and making 4Ks look as good as they can, look no further than some of these boutique labels who just put the time and effort in, like Arrow Video. Pitch Black is this great outer space style horror movie with Vin Diesel in it, of all people, who I'm not the biggest fan of. But he won me over in Pitch Black. Now here's a great movie that looked amazing. What a way to be introduced to the movie Pitch Black. I loved it, and I love the fact that my first experience of it was on a gorgeous 4K disc. Movies like Psycho are a no-brainer to upgrade to because it's going to be, it's going to look amazing. There's certain movies that they put prestige to that you just know they're not going to flub, or they're not going to just phone it in. And Psycho is an example of putting the effort into making it look as good as it can. Now here's an interesting one because, if I'm being honest, I prefer the Blu-ray of Halloween. I like the color tones. Now, the 4K, subjectively and objectively, looks better. But sometimes you just prefer the color tones that they do on previous releases, and the Anchor Bay Blu-ray is still my favorite way to watch Halloween. But if I'm being honest, the 4K still has truer natural colors with a more dense, crisp image. A no-brainer is going to be Jaws. Now, when this got announced, even though I was soured a little bit with a couple bad experiences on 4K, I knew that Universal was going to put every bit of effort into Jaws, and they did. This is one of my favorite 4Ks and a must-own if you're going to get into this format. Now, this isn't horror, but I have to show it. The absolute best experience I've had with 4K till this day is the Rambo Collection that was a Best Buy exclusive. Now, these films, I've gotten to the fourth one, look immaculate. Now, the first one has the coolest image I've ever seen. It was so thick and rich and dense and beautiful. The forest scenes where Rambo is running away from the cops. I couldn't believe, it almost brought a tear to my eye to see how good the image was. Now, they've released these films individually as well, but if you're a Stallone nut like me, you couldn't pass up this gorgeous 4K set. But you can get these films for about $14 a piece at Walmart on 4K. So this is the best experience I've had so far with 4K is First Blood. But the rest of these have looked really great. I haven't gotten to Last Blood, but First Blood, wow. That is the most amazing 4K I've ever seen. So when it comes to 4K, do I think it's a perfect format? No. Why do I think it's not a perfect format? Because unfortunately, sometimes they don't put in the effort to make the films look much better. They simply are cashing in. But luckily, the internet exists. So I never buy a 4K without consulting my friends, without consulting the internet to see, is this one passable? Did they do the work on this film? And when they do, I support it. So while we're in this world of trying to support physical media, my call out is to the studios to say, stop phoning in some of these 4K movies, or we're not going to support it. Give us the effort. You put in the effort and we will support. So I want 4K to succeed. I want 4K to be around, but they've got to do their work on these movies and make it worth our while. And I've had some amazing experiences with 4K that make me a supporter of this format. And I want to know, what are your thoughts on 4K? Do you want to get into it? Are you into it and you got out of it like I did and stopped buying some for a little while? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Are you on the fence about it? Does this video change your mind at all? Let me know in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys next time.